Assalamu alaikum students and assalamu alaikum teachers. Today's video is about a paper 2 question, paper 2 of A-level economics, syllabus code 9708. The question is from February-March 2023 exam paper. It's question 4 part B and it's variant double 2. Let me read out the question for you. Assess whether the consequences of economic growth for an economy are always positive. The total marks for part B, the total marks are 12, and 12 marks are divided in 3 or 4 areas. Analysis of one side of the argument, 4 marks. Analysis of the other side of the argument, 4 marks. And evaluation, 3 marks. And conclusion, 1 mark. And for evaluation, we will talk about this word always. That is it always positive or it is negative as well? So that will be the evaluation. In this question, we won't be comparing two policies because it's not about the policies which cause economic growth. It is about the effects and consequences of inflation of economic growth. The positive consequences of economic growth up to 4 marks, negative consequences of economic growth 4 marks, evaluation 3 marks, and then a conclusion. So first we talk about the benefits of economic growth. The benefits of economic growth. What is economic growth? Economic growth, remember the definition. It's very important that you give the correct definition of economic growth. Economic growth is the increase in real GDP over a period of time. Do mention over a period of time. Increase in real GDP over a period of time is economic growth. The first advantage of economic growth, we may say, it raises employment. It raises employment opportunities. And of course, real GDP means more goods and services are being made. When more goods and services are being made, we need more workers. Labor demand is a derived demand. So when more goods and services are being made, more workers will be demanded, and that will help raise employment. Remember, you cannot get top level with only by giving assertions which are not well supported. So if someone writes, economic growth will raise employment, of course, it's a correct identification, but have you developed it? So try to develop, try to give the rationale, try to support your argument. So your argument is economic growth raises employment, support it with some facts or some more information. So what I'm saying, real GDP is volume of goods and services. When more goods and services are being made, more workers are needed because labor demand is a derived demand. It raises demand for labor and helps lower unemployment, raise employment. So that is one advantage of economic growth. This employment would mean more incomes. People will earn more incomes as they are in jobs, or if they were already in jobs, maybe their wages will go up because they'll be producing a larger volume of goods and services. And more income would mean they will have more affordability. And more affordability, they could afford better food, they could afford better education for their kids, they could afford better clothing, more houses with better sanitation, with better ventilation. So overall, the quality of life will improve. And very important benefit of economic growth is improvement in quality of life. That is standard of living. Standard living will improve. So this is one aspect, and we can of course say because of better food and better health and better sanitation, the life expectation will improve, and because of better education, the skills of the coming generation will improve. The coming generation will be more productive, and that will make them more employable, and that will help coming generations to earn greater income, even greater income. So this is one of the aspects of one of the benefits of economic growth. Another benefit of economic growth is higher tax revenues for the government. Now, government tax revenues go up when there is economic growth. Economic growth creates employment opportunities, raises income, and means people pay more income taxes. So tax revenues go up because government can collect more income taxes. Similarly, when people have more money, they spend more. When they spend more, indirect taxes go up. Spending taxes go up, more indirect taxes. And of course, when income goes up and when real GDP goes up, volume of goods and services rises, firms make more profits. Corporate taxes go up as well. Businesses become more profitable. And of course, you start importing more as well because you have a better living standard, you have better affordability, and that will mean more import duties. So all of this will mean higher tax revenues for the government. And that will allow government to spend more money, and we can use our fiscal space. That will give government more fiscal space to spend more money on education, on health, on infrastructure, on better roads, and all of this will lead to improved living standards. So living standard is one because people will earn more and they will be able to spend more on their goods and services. And secondly, government will also be able to spend more on people's welfare. So this is one aspect, and that is enough for the first side of the argument. That is for 4 marks. We now move on to discuss the negative effects of economic growth. The negative effects of economic growth, the first one is that it may trigger demand pull as well as cost push inflation. Why demand pull inflation? Demand pull inflation because people will have more money to spend, and that will mean higher AD. And higher AD will lead to higher price level, and that is demand pull inflation. Similarly, economic growth may also lead to cost push inflation. Economic growth means more output and more workers are demanded. More workers are demanded means there could be labor shortages. And when there is a labor shortage, their wages may go up even in excess of their productivity. And that would lead to higher cost of production, and that may lead to cost push inflation. So not only economic growth leads to demand pull inflation, it also leads to cost push inflation because of higher wages. Another drawback or another negative consequence of economic growth is rising import bill. Import bill goes up, and that may lead to rising trade deficits. Why would import bill go up? People have more income, more affordability. They will spend more on locally made goods as well as on imports. They'll buy more consumer goods. They'll buy more luxury goods. Another reason because of which imports go up, as businesses will demand more machinery, more raw materials, more inputs, because they need to produce more. And when they need to produce more, they need more inputs. So imported inputs will also go up. Imported raw material and machinery will go up. And of course, a country like Pakistan, which is heavily dependent on imported energy, oil and electricity is based on oil, and to produce more goods, we need more electricity, we need more fuel, and we import more fuel, and our import bill goes up. So this is a problem of many low-income countries which heavily depend on import, that whenever their economy grows, their import bill goes out of control as well, and trade deficit comes. And we have seen this thing in Pakistan on so many occasions. And this leads to, we call it boom and bust cycle. Their economy booms, economy grows, but then economy is busted because we cannot sustain that for a long period of time, because economic growth leads to takes the trade deficit and import to an unsustainable level, where we will be forced to reverse the process of economic growth. So the second drawback of economic growth is a rising import bill. The third drawback of economic growth could be increased pollution, increased road congestion, increased urbanization. Because when economy grows, people move from villages to cities for better prospects, and there is more road congestion. There is factories are operating 24 hours a day, and that may damage the environment, and that may damage not only the quality of life of people living on Earth at the moment, it may also affect the quality of life of coming generations. So this is the negative side of economic growth. So 4 plus 4, 8. Now we move to the evaluation part, and that is always. So now we will talk about that, is economic growth always bad? No, economic growth is not always bad. It is not always good either. So when it is bad and when it is good, economic growth is bad if it is because of consumption-led growth. The consumption-led growth may be temporary, and it may give a boom for only a temporary period of time. However, if economic growth is because of export, maybe it's an export-led growth, that the economy has greater production capacity. If economic growth is complied by, is complemented by higher production capacity, in that case, economic growth could be more beneficial, because on one hand, economic growth is creating output. On the other hand, it is creating production capacity to produce that output, and that would mean inflation will not take place. Similarly, if economy grows for a country which has less exportable surplus, for that particular country, economic growth may be more negative, because their dependence on import will mean import bill will go out of control. So for economic growth is good, it is positive, When, number one, it is because of rising exports. Number two, it is created when there is excess production capacity. Unemployed resources are available. Exportable surplus is available. And because if you don't have extra production capacity, economic growth will force people to import more. And third, economic growth is through production systems which are environmental friendly, which are greener technologies, so that environment is not damaged. And economic growth is good if the share of benefit, if the benefit of economic growth is shared with everyone, not only with a certain group of people. It does not lead to geographical or individual income inequalities. For example, if economy grows and only people living in cities benefit, or if people living only in one province benefit, that economic growth is not good. But that economic growth whose benefits are spread all across the country, to villages, to cities, to all provinces, and also economic growth does not raise income inequalities, and rich and the poor, they both benefit, that economic growth is good. So economic growth could be good if it reduces income disparities, if it does not damage the environment, if it does not raise the import bill unnecessarily, if it is followed by increase in production capacity, that economic growth is good. So in the conclusion, but we need to write two words: economic growth is good if it is sustainable and inclusive. Sustainable economic growth is one which is the growth in economy without compromising other macroeconomic objectives. So if economy grows and trade balance remains in control, inflation remains in control, that economic growth is sustainable. And inclusive economic growth whose benefits are shared by everyone. It is not given only to a certain group of people. So economic growth is good and it is sustainable and inclusive. I hope you like this video. Do share your feedback with us and do subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.